Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to my channel Reviewed, where we talk about all things television and film from today and yesteryear. So today I wanted to come on here and talk about the last two episodes of Harlem season 3. Let's get to it. So Camille goes to the doctor's office. She has to get that test done to see if there are any abnormalities with the baby. So once she gets up to the receptionist, honey, he politely lets her know that her insurance card has declined. Like, girl, not a credit card, an insurance card. And so Camille is like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be covered through the rest of the year. I just left my job, but I'm still supposed to have health insurance. So clearly, Columbia University cut her off when she cut them off. Okay. So she is going back and forth with the receptionist, and he's like, look, it's not covered. You're going to have to pay $1,600 up front. She was like, $1,600 to get a test? He was like, yes, ma'am. So she is basically learning that carrying a baby is not going to be an easy feat when it comes to the money. Okay. So Ty and Eva, they are dating. They are just trying to find their groove with one another. I personally do not believe that you should mix business with pleasure. However, these two are definitely going for it. So Mike and Angie, they end up at this venue. They're looking for places for their wedding, and this place is huge. It's over the top. It's extravagant, just like Angie, honey, and she is here for it. Of course, she wants to have the wedding here. She's like, oh, I can have this here and this and that. All my family or whatever. And of course, the lady who is showing them the venue, she's like, oh my God, she's throwing out all these innuendos, like these celebrity couples, are she not name dropping, but she alluding to celebrities like they're all looking at this event space, and you should try to book it now because it won't be available soon. And Mike basically tells the lady, he's like, hey, we're just gonna think about it. We're gonna go home and talk about it. But Angie is not trying to hear that. She wants to have the wedding here. So Camille meets up with the girls, and she is basically letting them know all the goings on about the healthcare and medical costs. She let them know that her insurance lapsed, that she no longer has coverage, and that her only option at this point outside of private insurance, since she is a freelance writer, would be Medicaid. And she was like, well, I applied for Medicaid, but I won't find out anything for 4 to 6 weeks. And she lets them know that she had to have that test done because of her age. And of course, Quinn was like, oh my God, I'm your age. Should I be concerned about that? Should I be trying to have my eggs froze and things like that? So, they are just basically talking to Camille, and they ask her, this like, well, what about Ian? Are you going to let him know what's going on? The baby is his responsibility too. He should be able to cover some of the costs. And she's like, well, I'm gonna see if I can go get some money from my publisher, get another advance from my publisher, because my first advance that I have is already pretty much done. So, it's almost up out of here. And so she's just trying to figure out what her next move is going to be financially, to make sure that she's okay. But honey, while she's trying to figure things out, Quinn is over here quinning. Okay.
Sorry, half of New York wants me to be their stylist now, so my DMs are blowing up. Oh. Boss, bitch, stylist, level, unlock, bitch.
Lock that door, baby.
So the girls basically let Camille know that they got her back. They're like, we're here for you. They're going to make sure that, she's good throughout the pregnancy. Whatever they can do, they're going to try to do for her, to basically let her know that she's not going at this alone. So Camille, she's like, grateful, she's thankful or whatever. And she's like, okay, let me go get this money, from the publicist. She thinks she about to have her luck come up. And, so she's headed out the door, and baby, Quinn is still quinning. Okay.
Quinn, can you silence that phone, please?
Oh my God, please do not be jealous just because I am now New York's premier stylist, bitch.
So even though my girl Queen is on cloud nine, honey, she got knocked down a peg or two because Seth's old stylist ends up popping up on the live, and she's like, oh, so this what we doing? You taking another job from a black woman? Oh, I see how you rolling. She was like, to be honest, the only reason why you got the job is because Seth wants to add you to his harem of women. And so, she's just going on and on and on. And Ty, Angie, and Quinn is looking at her like, girl, like this ain't it. And B Simone was like, I got time today. And they was like, oh, snap, whatever. And so Quinn is getting all this hate, and she's trying to figure out how to respond to it, because she's like, oh my God, they're saying such mean things about me. I can't help it, who I am. I've always been me. I don't know how to be anybody else. And so she's trying to figure out if her comeback needs to be on the level of B Simone. You know what I'm saying? Like bring that type of energy, or if she should even say anything at all, because she is just not used to getting negativity, especially when she thought that she was doing so well. So she's just getting a little dose of what it is to be famous. Okay. So Camille goes to see the publicist, and she's like, "Yeah, girl, did you get my chapters? What did you think?" And the publicist's like, "They were good, but you could do XYZ." She starts to critique Camille a little bit, and so she asks Camille, she's like, "Well, what about the title of the book? Have you come up with a title yet?" And so Camille gives her this long-winded title, honey, and the lady was like, "So you're still working on a title, okay?" And so Camille kind of blows it out. She's like, "Well, I was wondering if I can get another advance, if I give you a couple of more chapters, if I can get another advance." And it's like, no, you will get the remainder of the money when we have the rest of the book. And Camille was like, "So when you say the rest of the book, are you saying chapters 18 through such and such, or the full book?" And the lady's like, "No, honey, the full book." Like, girl, this is not Klarna or Afterpay, baby. We need the full book. We are not about to give you no more money. And so Camille is like, oh my gosh, what is she gonna do? So Camille goes to see Ian. She does text him early in the episode and just saying, "Hey, we need to talk." But she shows up at his house, and he was like, "Hey," it's just like, "Well, you said we could talk." And he was like, "Well, I thought we would kind of schedule, a time to meet up or whatever." And so Portia ends up coming out the house, and she is in there baking something, and she wants him to try it. And so Camille finds out that they're basically, living together or whatever. And Camille immediately gets in her feelings. It's like she completely forgets the fact that this is no longer her man. This is her child's father. Like, girl, you cannot feel a way about what he got going on. Of course, she gets, she pregnant, so whatever. But, they start having a conversation completely has nothing to do with what is going on in reference to her finances and her needing his assistance, some help with the insurance and things like that. He does let her know about the situation with he and Portia. And Camille is like, "Why didn't you tell me this?" And he's like, "Well, I didn't know you were going to keep the baby. I didn't know this was going to be happening." He was like, "It's just a messed up situation." And of course, Camille ends up leaving. She is not able to let Ian know exactly what is going on as far as the costs and expenses. So nothing gets resolved in this moment. So after Quinn gets her wig snatched a little bit by the haters online, she ends up recording a video, and she is being her authentic self, and she gets a lot of good feedback, and she is just glad that she took this route instead of trying to be on the level of which B. Simone was on and the rest of the haters. So Eva and Ty, they go out on this date, and they're talking to each other and telling each other's coming out stories. Eva tell this crazy story, honey, about Family Feud. That's how she came out to her folks. It was all kinds of crazy. And once Ty started to talk about her coming out, she kind of just basically was like, "Look, my folks ain't with it. It is what it is. I don't talk to them." And Eva was like, "Okay, how long have you haven't talked to your folks in what, like 10 years?" And Ty was like, "Yeah, it is what it is. I pretty much wash my hands of it." And so she deflects. She tries to start talking about something else. And Eva was like, "You know what? You being celibate don't have anything to do with you working. That's not what you need to do to work on yourself." She said, "Your family is the reason why you have relationship issues, so to speak, because you no longer have a relationship with them." She was like, "You pretty much are abandoned, I guess." I guess that's what she's trying to say, that since Ty is pretty much abandoned for her family, that's why she is the way that she is when it comes to relationships and certain things. And at some point, you could tell Ty, she's listening to Eva, but she's not trying to hear what she has to say. Ty pig-headed, you can't really tell her nothing. And, she basically was just like, it is what it is. So, honey, Angie ends up booking the event space. Okay, she ends up charging Mike's car for $50,000, and he comes home. He's like, "Why is there a charge on my car for this amount? We did not agree on that event space." She's like, "Yeah, but she said it was, basically I needed to book it because somebody else was going to take it, and I really, really wanted it." And he was like, "But it's not just about you." And here they have somewhat of a heart to heart. Mike basically lets Angie know, "Look, you got all these people that's going to show up for you on our wedding day." He said, "I don't have that." He said, "My family they don't really rock with me like that." And he was just like, "That's why I wanted us to have something more small and more intimate, because you're going to have more people there to support you than I am." And, Andrew's like, "Oh, I didn't know that." But of course, they can't even get the money back. Andrew's like, "Well, we can't get that $50,000 back." So I'm just wondering what is going to happen between them, because y'all already know I said I don't feel like they're going to make it down the aisle seemingly it's looking like they are going to, but I don't feel it, and we'll get to that later. So ultimately, Camille meets up with Ian, and she basically lets him know, hey, I'm going to need a little bit of help. I don't have health insurance. Things are a little pricey. And, she was just like, I had to pay for this test, to have my blood work done and make sure the baby's fine and I'm fine and everything looks good. And Ian was like, look, I already told you I got you. He was like, I am not going to have you out here looking crazy. Whatever you need, I'm going to assist you with. That is not going to be a problem. I'm going to make sure that you're good. And so Camille was like, yeah, this test was $1,600. He's like, dang, $1,600. He was like, don't worry. I got you. I got you. And she basically ends up telling him that everything looks good with the baby and that they are having a girl. And he was so excited that he's having a baby girl and that he's going to be a girl dad. So flash forward, episode 4 starts out. Camilla's getting an ultrasound. She is now 8 months pregnant. I was like, shout out to y'all for having her 8 months pregnant and not being pregnant for 3 years like Karen is on Sisters. Okay. But anyway, so Camille, the baby's looking good. The pregnancy is going well. The doctor is telling them, everything looks amazing. I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And her and Ian are basically, they're getting along. And, Camille, she's like, hey, let's go to this restaurant, that just opened up. He's like, no, I gotta go, I gotta get back, Portia or whatever. And Camille's like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it, I understand. And, they end up leaving the doctor's office. So Mike and Angie go cake testing, okay? And they're having a conversation because Angie is, she's not overwhelmed, but she's a little nervous about this film critic that is supposed to come in to review their play rehearsal or whatever. This person, I guess, is one of the top critics of, plays and things like that. So Angie is a little nervous about it. And she's expressing this to Mike, but instead of him being like, baby, it's cool, it's okay, he basically is making it seem like, look, that's kind of lowbrow what you're doing anyway. He just kind of feels like either he feels like the play is beneath Angie or he feels like it's beneath him. And in this moment, I was like, okay, so yeah, they are really not seeing the same, they're not on the same page to a certain extent. And he is basically letting her know, do you really want to do this? You don't have to do this. You're putting all this pressure on yourself. It's just like, I feel like this is my big break. This is my breakout role. He was like, really? Is it really though? And, he has his credit card, and he was like, you don't even have to work. I do very well with the real estate business and things like that. So it's seemingly like he is low-key trying to make her feel like that's not the way to go. You know what I'm saying, with the play. And I get it, because the play, Lord, we'll get to that. But like, he is not being very supportive of her. And so again, this is why I feel like they may not make it down the aisle, because it does not seem like these two are on the same page. And even if he does not agree with what she is doing in reference to the play, he still should show support to her, because he knows how much this means to her. But, he doesn't. And we get to see that trickle down a little bit in the episode, because we do get to see Angie, she asks this Ty, do you feel like this play is kind of like trash, basically? Like, you think, I'm in over my head, I shouldn't be doing nothing like this? Tom's like, no, girl, so many people are excited to see this play. You gonna blow up after this, do your thing. So once she starts doubting herself because of what Mike said, I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to go, because you could tell that this conversation that they had here, it did affect her to a certain extent. So Quinn and Seth are doing well. Of course, they are seemingly more than friends. They're spending a lot of time together. And, they're having a conversation, and Seth gets this phone call, and he pretends like he basically, ends the phone call. And so he, is talking to Quinn, and he was like, yeah, they got an idea for me to do this Black Love shoot for a magazine. And, he was like, I don't know if I'm really feeling the Black Love thing. He was like, what would you do? Quinn, what would be your perfect setting for a magazine shoot for Black Love? And so Quinn gives this elaborate, very detailed theme and how she would do the photo shoot. And while she's saying this, he literally has her on speakerphone, and he says to the person on the phone, he's like, "You got that? Go ahead and book it." And Quinn is all excited, and then he asks Quinn to be in the photo shoot with him. So Camille meets up with the girls, and she's letting them know that the pregnancy is going good. The baby's healthy, she's healthy, and they're like, "Oh my God, you look so good pregnant," and things like that. And she's letting them know that she and Ian are getting along, but she also lets them know, she's like, it just kind of get a little lonely. She's like, she just missed that companionship and just being able to, have men interested in her. And Andrew's like, "Girl, men interested in pregnant women." And so, honey, Angie, old crazy behind, she ends up talking about some stuff she shouldn't have been saying, in time. Clint's like, "Oh my God, like, why is she like this? Like, girl, why are you watching something like that?" Just basically trying to let Camille know that she's still desirable, even though Camille's like, "Oh, that's disgusting. I don't feel that way." But, she is just letting them know that she does kind of, it can be a little lonely for her. And sometimes she just wished that she did have someone there, to be with. So Quinn and Seth have this beautiful photo shoot, with the little kids, and they just seem like they are so in love. And before they even started to do the photo shoot, Seth was talking to the woman, I guess like the editor or whatever of the magazine, and she was asking him questions about Black love, and he was like, at first I wasn't really feeling it. He said, but lately it's been on my mind a lot. He was like, marriage and things like that. It's like, when you meet a certain person that make you, feel all these things. He was like, it's just been heavy on his mind. And Quinn ends up walking down the stairs, honey. And I was like, oh, it's giving dynasty. But anyway, they have this really cute moment and this really, really beautiful photo shoot. So Ty and Eva, they are at work, they're working on the app website type stuff or whatever. And, they are getting feedback from one another. And so Eva ends up looking at, overviewing some things with Ty. And her response to Ty, she kind of critiques Ty, and Ty is not feeling it. And, Eva was like, "But just because you don't like what I'm saying don't mean you have to be rude," because Ty started to get in her feelings because she clearly does not like criticism. And it's like, you just asked the girl what she thought about this, and she's letting you know, and now you have a problem with it. So they exchange words, and Ty basically dismisses Eva, and Eva was like, "Okay, I'm out. Bye." So Camille is at Lamaze, and she is waiting on Ian to get there. And she keeps calling him, and she keeps getting his voicemail or whatever. She's trying to figure out where he is. And so the lady who works there, she's like, this is a couples class. If your partner is not here in 10 minutes, you're going to have to go down the hall to the singles." And Camille's like, "No, I'm not by myself. My baby daddy should be on his way." And the lady's like, "Well, if he ain't here in a few minutes, you're going to have to get up out of here." So Camille and Quinn are hanging out, and they're having a conversation. And Quinn basically, is letting Camille know that she's very happy with Seth, the space that they're in. Even though she wasn't really looking for anything serious, she was just like, she can't help but have feelings for him. And basically, she is in love with the man. Okay. So while they're chatting it up, Seth ends up walking in with a friend of his, and he has flowers for both Camille and Quinn. So Camille introduces herself to Seth, and she was like, "It's finally nice to meet you." And, I was like, okay, so he brought her flowers. He knew she was going to be there, and all of a sudden he has a friend with him. So I was like, okay, Quinn must have set this up, which was really cute because, we did see Camille earlier on saying that she missed companionship, and, that ain't nobody really checking for her with a belly. And so here comes this guy, right? And so, Camille gets up and she rubs on her stomach. She's like, "Well, I got to get up out of here, get out of y'all way." And the guy was like, "No, you should stay, And she's like, "I don't want to be in the way, I can't drink. Y'all, need to enjoy yourself, have a good time." He said, "No," he said, "I make a mean cranberry spritzer, or whatever, you should really, really stay." So Camille is convinced. She ends up staying to hang out with them. And honey, while they over here having a good old jovial time, my girl Angie over here performing in front of this critic on the Broadway stage. Okay.
I got drugs in my booty. Drugs.
I'm sorry, y'all. As funny as this song was so cringe. The whole performance was just cringe. Okay. And I'm like, okay, Mike, I see what you're talking about, but you still ain't gonna do my girl Angie. Listen, y'all, I was not here for this. I'm sorry. Like, it was just all over the place. It was out of order. The song was just out of order. I do not care. It was so crazy. Like, I could not believe it. And then why Eric rolling around on stage like he Mufasa in the Lion King? I was like, what is he doing? Like, what is this tree or grass around his neck? Like, oh my gosh, what does he have on? I'm sorry, I was just not here for this performance, and I am curious to see what the critic is going to say about it, because it was just, I wasn't here for it at all. Okay. So Ty, she ends up going to see Eva and she apologizes to her and she basically lets Eva know that she loves her. And Eva, she also lets Ty know that she loves her as well. And they kiss and make up. So again, Camille ends up staying. She's hanging out with Seth Quinn and his friend. I forgot the guy's name. He seems to be a very nice guy. And it starts to get late and he offers to take Camille home. Now, I have to say, this to me was a bit much because I'm like, nah, we not just going to let a stranger take us home. I don't care how long I sit down and talk to this man. I'm carrying a whole social security number in my belly. I don't know you from Adam for real, for real. Yeah, you with Seth. You may check off the boxes as a friend, but I don't know what type of person you are behind closed doors, sir. Like, no, ma'am. I do not understand why they allow her to let this guy take her home. Like, y'all, that was just a little far fetched, but it is what it is. Okay. So Angie, she tells Mike how, glad she was, how wonderful she felt like she did during her performance. She just felt free and alive. And this is what she is born to do. Theater is her life. Angie is extra, honey. And that's what they say about people on Broadway. They just extra all the time, which I absolutely love. Okay. So Angie, she's all excited. She's so happy. And she, basically lets Mike know, this is what I want to do. This is my stepping stone. This is how my life is aligned for me. Like, this is what I've been waiting for my whole life, this break. And he's listening to her. She does give back the credit card that he gave her. And she was just like, this is something I want for myself. This is what I want to do for me. And he basically does not say anything. He's just listening to her, and she's so excited about everything. And I'm hoping that maybe she will get a great review from the critic. Because again, like I said, what Mike said to her, it did have some type of effect on her. It almost, you know, made her feel a little insecure, to a certain extent. So now that she has, gone through with the performance and she's so excited about it, I'm hoping that maybe she will get a great critique, even though the whole thing was trash to me. It was just crazy. But I think maybe it may be the critique that will make her just feel like, oh my gosh, like, yes. And then again, if she does not get a positive critique, what will the outcome be? So Ian is blowing up Camille's phone and he ends up popping up at her house and he was like, I've been calling you all day. She's like, well, you didn't show up for Lamaze and I was having cranberry spritzers, she's just saying all this stuff or whatever. And Ian is just like, well, hey, you can't just be not answering the phone when you got my baby in your belly, whatever. And so the guy ends up walking downstairs. And so Ian got this look on his face like, who is this dude? And so the guy he tried to fist bump Ian, be nice and be pleasant with him, introduce himself, and Ian's like, yeah, what's up? Yeah, no, like, no, I'm not doing that. And so this is so weird because it's like, okay, Camille had an attitude with Ian earlier when Portia was there, but she knows that Portia is Ian's girlfriend. But I guess Ian is like, who is this stray you got around my child? Yeah, my child's in your belly, but nah, I'm not feeling this or whatever. So they go outside and they start talking. And she was like, I've been trying to get in touch with you. And he tells her that Portia's father had a stroke and, he needed to be there for her. And that's why he missed Lamaze or whatnot. What we did not get this episode, guys, is I am wondering if what is going on with he and Portia? Is Portia pregnant? Because clearly Camille is about to give birth. Okay. They did not discuss Portia in reference to her knowing what is going on between them two. Again, like, we know that she was, signing off for the embryos or whatever that she and Ian, I guess, created. But like, what is the status of the two of them? Because not once did they mention if Portia was pregnant and what Portia thinks about the situation that Ian currently has going on with Camille. But we don't get any of that information this episode, these last two episodes. So I'm curious as to how the remainder of the season is going to wrap up. So Quinn and Seth, they tell each other that they love each other, and baby, they fall asleep after, having a little foo la la, and his phone starts ringing. So he gets up and answers his phone, and he says to the person, "Hey, yeah, I was with Quinn." And he also says, "I love you too. I'll see you tomorrow." So I'm thinking to myself, there is no way he's talking to another woman. Either he has a child that he has not mentioned, or he's talking to his mama. But I just do not feel like it is another woman. If it is, I will be surprised because, again, the two of them got together, no expectations of a relationship, and now all of a sudden they're in love. Okay. I just do not believe they would have it in this way for Quinn. You know, we done seen her try to figure out her sexuality. We done seen her go through the motions of just dealing with all these different men and just dealing with herself as a whole. So I would like to think that the writers would not play the radio like this with us and our girl Quinn. Like, no, we're not doing this. No, we're not going to do this, when Quinn was focused on Quinn and her career and was like, nope, I'm done with relationships for a while. Just let me focus on me. And then y'all going to bring chocolate up in here and then have him play in her face. We're not doing that. So I personally, guys, I do not believe that he is talking to another woman, as in someone he's dealing with. Again, it's either a child, his mother, I don't know. It could be his sister for all we know, but I guess we shall find out. We shall see. We shall see. Well, that's all I have for you guys today in this video. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I really, really appreciate the support, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.